It was night and the village had been enveloped in silence. Only the hush of the breeze and the long calls of nocturnal creatures disturbed the stillness. Sam lay in his narrow bed, 12 years old and staring at the thatched roofing above him. He could not sleep. Sleep had always managed to elude him whenever it seemed the rest of the world was asleep as well. It was at that point when, as he lay there, something began to penetrate his thoughts, a faint noise that was unlike any he had heard. He listened more closely. The rustling, at first mere suggestion of something through the night air, increased, growing more defined. Something moved in the underbrush. His heart was pounding now. It might just be the wind, or could something much more sinister be creeping into the dark? Sam's mind was filled with questions. What would I do if something dangerous is out there? Could it be an animal or something worse? Sam's curiosity overpowered his fear. Carefully, he slipped out of bed, making sure not to make a sound. He crept to the small crack in the wooden wall, the only window to the outside world. Peering through, his eyes adjusted to the dim light of the moon. What he saw made his breath catch in his throat. A tiger, its massive form illuminated by the pale moonlight, was prowling near the hut. Its sleek striped body moved silently through the shadows, each step deliberate and predatory. The tiger's glowing eyes scanned the hut, a chilling reminder of the predator's intent. Sam's pulse quickened, but he remained frozen, watching as the beast drew nearer. Why is the tiger here? He thought. Should I wake my family? Will there be enough time? The weight of the moment pressed on him as he realized that his family was in danger. He knew that if he didn't do something fast, the tiger might attack. But how could a boy like him stand against such a fearsome creature? Sam's mind was racing with his options. Every second felt like an eternity. His heart was pounding in his chest, but he knew he had no time to waste. Waking his family seemed like the obvious choice, but deep down he feared that would make things worse. If the tiger noticed them, it might panic and attack. The last thing he wanted was for his family to get caught in the crossfire. But doing nothing was not an option either. The tiger was too close, and the danger too real. Sam's breath quickened, and his thoughts swirled in a whirlwind of fear and determination. He had to think fast. His father used to tell him tales of the wild, of how animals like tigers could be scary and clever. He could still remember how his father explained to him that fear could be a potent tool if applied the right way. Fear was not something to be ashamed of, but rather something to be confronted. His father's words still reverberated in his mind as he found an unusual calm settle in his nerves. Sam had never faced anything like this before, but he wasn't about to back down. His eyes darted around, looking for anything he could use to protect himself and his family. His hands trembled as he scanned the yard. There, just outside the door, lay a long, sturdy stick, perfect for what he needed. His heart pounded as he reached for it. The stick was not much, but it was better than nothing. He did not know if it would be enough to stop the tiger, but it was all he had. He gripped it tightly, his knuckles turning white. The weight of the moment pressed down on him, but he had no choice but to move forward. He glanced back at his family, sleeping peacefully, unaware of the deadly creature lurking just outside. His mother's gentle breathing, his father's steady rise and fall, gave him the courage he needed. They were depending on him. Sam closed, his eyes for a moment, silently praying for strength. Please, let me protect them, he whispered under his breath, before taking a final deep breath to steady his nerves. Without another thought, he opened the door, stepping out into the night. Tighter. Cold air hit him in the face like a splash of ice water. Sam's skin prickled as the sharp night breeze swept over him, but he barely noticed. His concentration was on the tiger, which was now but a few yards away, with its glowing eyes fixed on him with a killing stare. Its muscles were tense, its body low to the ground and ready to spring. He could feel the animal's eyes weighing upon him, weighing his danger. The beat of his heart in his chest was louder than ever, yet he willed himself to keep still. "Stay calm, show no fear," his father's voice whispered inside his head. Slowly lifting the stick into position, grasping it hard in both hands, Sam prepared himself for whatever might be about to happen next. He needed to seem larger, stronger, more potent than he was. Slowly, deliberately, he started beating the ground with the stick, producing a sharp, rhythmic noise that echoed out into the silent night. The noise was jarring, loud, and powerful. Sam's hands were shaking at the effort, but he did not stop. He yelled as loud as he could, his voice quivering but strong. "Stay back!" he shouted, the words echoing in the night. The tiger flinched, its ears twitching at the sudden noise. Sam could see the beast hesitate, its predatory focus faltering for just a moment. That moment was all he needed. He stepped forward, his feet moving with purpose despite the fear that coursed through him. Another step, and then another. The tiger shifted its stance as if it was not sure what to make of this boy who dared face it head-on. It took a hesitant step back, its eyes never leaving Sam. Sam's heart was racing even faster, but he made himself keep going. He continued beating the stick against the ground, louder now, the sound filling the night air with power and defiance. The tiger paused, its large body frozen in place. For the first time, Sam saw a flicker of uncertainty in the tiger's eyes. The wild animal, so used to being the hunter, seemed unsure of what to do with this young boy who was not afraid. Sam's throat burned from the shouting, but he didn't stop. Every instinct within him urged him forward, not to let the tiger gain the upper hand. The tiger's gaze shifted, its body language betraying confusion. For the very first time, it was the predator that seemed to halt. Sam knew this was his chance. The hesitation on the part of the tiger was all he needed to add more pressure. It was now a battle of wills, and Sam would not lose. Just when Sam had thought the tiger might retreat, it let out a low growl and crouched, preparing and banging the stick on the ground. The tiger's growl grew louder. Its muscles were tensing for the leap, and Sam could feel his heart pounding in his chest. Yet he refused to give in to fear. And then, a great crash echoed through the nearby forest. The tiger's ears perked up, and it turned its head toward the sound. A group of villagers, alerted by the noise, emerged from the trees, armed with torches and shouting to scare the beast away. The tiger hesitated. Then, with a final glance at Sam, it retreated into the darkness, disappearing into the forest. The commotion had woken Sam's family. They rushed outside, their faces filled with fear and confusion. His mother wrapped her arms around him, shivering with relief. His father, seeing the villagers with their torches, quickly understood what had happened. "Sam, you saved us," he said, his voice heavy with pride and gratitude. The villagers gathered around, praising Sam for his bravery. "What made you step outside alone?" one of them asked. Sam looked at his family, still shaken but safe, and smiled softly. "I just knew I had to protect them," he replied. As the villagers were discussing their luck, one of them reminded them that something else might have made the tiger go away. "It wasn't just our noise," he said. "The tiger seemed spooked before we arrived." They wondered if the crash from the forest was more than just a coincidence. Maybe another creature, or maybe even a random act of nature, had stepped in to help the family. Sam's father nodded thoughtfully. "Sometimes help comes from unexpected places," he said. "But tonight, it was Sam's bravery that did it." That night, huddled around a small fire within their hut, the family discussed what had transpired. Sam's father rested his hand on his shoulder. "You were very brave tonight," he said. "But more than that, you showed how quick thinking and calm can make all the difference." Sam felt pride swell within him. But he also felt a sense of humility. He had faced a tiger and protected his family, but he knew he couldn't have done it alone. "Would you have been as brave as Sam?" his father asked his little siblings, who listened with wide eyes. The family shared a quiet moment of gratitude, knowing they were there for each other and that they had the strength to overcome whatever would come their way. In the state of drifting off to sleep, Sam thought, "What will I do if the tiger ever comes back?" But then he realized that they were always going to be safe as long as they had courage and love.